Well, all right, welcome back. I am excited to have this guest on today. This is not your traditional, typical guest. I am starting a cool series because this gentleman called me up one day and said, "Hey, I've got this idea. You need to hear it." And it's a great idea. So we'll get into what that is here in a minute. But so, what I wanted to do for everybody, I realized that, for a long, long time, most of the guests that I have on the show are pretty much they either have achieved some level of greatness or they have the big company or all these things. But I realized that for a lot of you listening, that it's a whole lot different in hearing a perspective of, say somebody who is a 5, 6, $7 million a year salesperson, to look backwards and say, okay, when you started, what was your mindset, what were you thinking, than somebody who's in the trenches in that moment of the real time of what's happening. So we wanted to start something a little bit different. And for everybody that's listening, I would love to start interviewing more people in the field. So if you think that you would like to be on the podcast, reach out to me, shoot me a message. If you know somebody who would be a good guest, introduce me to them. Maybe somebody who is everywhere from somebody who just began, somebody who's struggling along the way, somebody who, just whoever in any of the trades, home services. And I want to break out of just strictly HVAC a little bit. Who do you know that's a plumber, an electrician? Let's really, all of everyone can benefit from different perspectives. That's how we learn, that's how we grow. So that's kind of what we're starting to, not just kind of, no room for words of uncertainty. So scratch that. We're not kind of, that is what we're starting today. So I have to walk of what I teach. So today I'm excited to have this guest on. This gentleman, he is not native born from the United States. You will hear that here in just a minute. And I'm really excited to have him on because he brings a really cool perspective that a lot of us don't always get. So I'll give the super quick intro. I'll let him introduce himself a little more. But he was a carpenter for 25 years and then happened to find the HVAC industry. And then actually in that he's in our industry for less than a year now. And so this is a fun story. And so I'm so happy to introduce my friend Mr. Brian O'Boyle from direct from Ireland on the show today. And so he's my guest. So thanks for being on the show, man.
Not a problem. Not a problem, Sam. Glad you flew me in.
Yes, sir. So let's start with that. Actually, before we do, let's do a what's in your cup section of this show, because I concocted something special for you. So I'm curious. I saw your drink with you. What is in your cup today?
Well, Sam, you're probably gonna not like it.
Oh, it's okay. Oh no, he's got the
C4.
C4 energy drink. That's
Yeah.
killing your guts inside. It's all
Uh, if
good.
they're not if they're not dead already.
It's all good. It's all good. So what I made for you, I the other day, if everybody that listened to a couple episodes back, I made some. Actually, gave Mr. O'Boyle here a shout out and had made some Irish breakfast tea that was hot in my cup. For all of you on
Uh-huh.
YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. You can actually see what's happening here. Well, today I made the same thing, but I Texasized it and turned it into an iced Irish breakfast tea. So
Oh
don't hate me,
yeah.
but I iced it.
I no, I do not hate that at all. What
Mm.
temperature is it in Texas right now?
It's hot today. My wife just took the dogs for a walk and they all came back sweating. So I think we're probably pushing 90 degrees at the 86 right now. So it's on its way up.
That's why it's iced.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm cool with that.
So, all right, well let's take a collective drink here before we get going. So grab your C4. I've got my Irish tea.
I have it in here.
Here we go. Three, two, one.
Sláinte.
Slancha. Well, all right. So give everybody a quick highlight reel. Tell us your journey. How did you get started? I'd love to hear one, how you got started being a carpenter at 21, and then
Hmm.
how in the world did you get to to the what brought you to the United States, and then also, tell us about your carpenter journey here, and then turn that corner. How'd you go from carpenter to, HVAC expert?
All right. Well, expert could be a little bit of a it could be a
Well,
little bit
everyone
of a
is an expert in
stretch.
progress, right?
Always. You always learn every day. So, hello folks. My name is Brian O'Boyle, and if you break down the first initials, you get B-O-B. So I go by Bob as well. And by the end of the show, I might be notorious B.O.B. You never know.
I love it. The notorious B.O.B. He's on the show.
Oh yeah. Um, so I I left school whenever I was 16. That's the high school age to
Hmm.
leave school in Ireland. Um, you had two choices. You go to university or you go and you walk and join the trades line. All my friends growing up, they were either plumbers, electricians, bricklayers, and I took a carpentry line. I've always been involved with carpentry. I've watched
Hmm.
my dad do it. So I had calluses on my hands before my license.
Sure. So it kind of passed down from your father then.
Passed down and just we grew up in a little blue collar town. And I mean it's the town itself now, if you go back to it 21 years later, is it's it's getting up there to be white collar.
Nice. Tell everybody the
And
name of your town. I'm curious.
all right, it's Portland on. I want to make sure I say it right. But so again, it's out in the rural. The city boys call us Portland on,
Okay.
just because um good times. There was about 1,800 people in my town whenever I left.
Sure.
That number has probably tripled in 21 years.
Right on.
There was 40 people in my high school whenever I finished it in my grade, or I call it class, whatever.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, I took a carpentry route, went to trade school for it, done 3 years of 2 days of class, 3 days out in the field. Meet some interesting old carpenters, I tell you, whenever you grew up in Ireland and they're stuck in their ways, but I tell you what, they do beautiful work.
No doubt.
So I probably was about 2 years into it before I was like, oh, I wonder where's Levanessa. I'll go do this room here myself in baseboard real quick because I don't want him seeing me do it because he'll be like, oh, did he do it right?
Right.
But I knew, like, I spent 2 years with him watching it. I was holding him. I was watching every trick the man like could teach me,
Hmm.
and like he loved being a teacher.
So it's a great mentorship.
Awesome mentorship. Like
Hmm.
we were over here whenever I come over here in '04. Um, the biggest difference I noticed was you guys used routers to do the door hinges. I I was used to doing it with an actual hammer and chisel
By hand.
by hand and making it nice and clean, and like even down to the fact we're bringing it back again to Levinus. Levinus Cassidy's his name. He looks like Santa Claus. Um, he showed me how to sharpen a chisel. Like, like that's what the apprenticeship really is. Here's how you sharpen your chisel. You sharpen your chisel first, then I'll give you a door.
Hmm.
And it would normally be the door that was taken off. So I yeah, it was funny story. The company I worked for over there, they had two foremen on the team I was assigned to. So I bounced between like the bigger towns, like whenever they needed me, because I was pretty handy. I was a good carpenter.
No doubt.
Eye for detail, but I started out in the trenches doing shutter work for concrete, and we would have done them for anywhere from silo pits to foundations of houses,
Hmm.
and then work my way up. And I was 21 when I left Ireland.
Well,
Getting back,
what brought you to the States? I'm curious about this journey.
all right. Well, so I'm about 19 and a half, 20 years of age. And guy Seamus McPeak, one of the foremen, he goes, my brother's coming back from Philadelphia. I goes, I didn't know you had a brother in Philadelphia. And he's like, yeah, he had a carpentry business over there for years. And he's like, him and the wife is moving back and they're going to raise their family. They're going to start having children over here. I'm like, all right. So his brother's name was Liam. So a couple of months later, I meet Liam and I stick out my hand and he goes, how's it going, young fella? He goes, I'm Hatchet. And I goes, that's a funny name for a carpenter.
Hatchet, right?
A Hatchet. Um, he didn't have a brother named Butcher. But Hatchet, me and him got on like he was 10 years older than me. I was 21. He was about mid 30s.
Sure.
Great guy. He didn't give a damn. And he's like, yeah, first day I met him, he's like, yeah, I can't wait to get back to Ireland and raise me family. About 6 months later, Hatchet looks at me dead in the eye and he goes, I'm moving back to Philadelphia because they can't take us. Because every job you pull into, like they always start with the house in Ireland. They don't start with the road and it's all nice and clean and you're working in a clean environment.
Hmm.
You're wearing Wellingtons, welly boots on the for about the first 2 months of any job over there because or at least they used to anyway. So Hatchet moves back. He goes, young fella, he says, if you want a job in America anytime, you call me. I'm moving back next month. And I goes, well, did I smell or what, Hatchet? So that was it. I I goes, be careful what you wish for.
Hmm.
About a year later, because I knew you had to be 21 to drink in the States.
Oh, okay. That was the limiting factor then.
That was the limiting factor.
Well, so way to like check the box on the stereotype here for us, Brian.
Yeah. And I had all this made up in my head, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even told mum yet.
Right?
I haven't booked tickets yet, but at that stage it was just a journey in my head.
Sure.
It was a dream. I grew up watching Pamela Anderson and Baywatch. That was my that's what
Same,
that
bro.
that's
Same.
that's what I thought America was. It didn't like I heard of Philly, but I thought, all right, well, it's still America, so they've got beaches.
Oh, absolutely. It was Pamela Anderson, Baywatch, right in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh. And then, oh well, funny story actually. Seen David Hasselhoff in Belfast. He was doing a pantomime. He's a god. He's a friggin' god over there.
Oh, no doubt.
But anyway, I'm getting off track.
So
Where was
you
this
get to
on?
the States.
Get to the States and swing the hammer for another 20 years.
Hmm.
But halfway through, I started my own business and everything's going all right. Like, and I didn't advertise. It was all word of mouth. And why I stopped it was I couldn't get help, the
Hmm.
help that I needed. I couldn't I couldn't go up to a homeowner and look at them dead in the eye if I was to like say, oh well, I'll have a guy here in the morning that could do what I did. It just wasn't possible. Like
Sure.
I,
So
I,
you're
I would
capped by your own efforts.
capped by my own. I tell you what, I was capped by Levinas Gasti because he taught me so well in my ways that I couldn't give it up. I was like, there's no way I can leave him on here.
Sure. Like
And
this level of perfection that it had to be done this way.
correct.
Hmm.
So, Levinas, if you're listening, thank you.
It's a good thing, but also sometimes in business, like this perfectionist trap, right?
It's a perfectionist thing.
Hmm.
Um, Especially whenever you're sharpening your own chisel, and then you don't see chisels coming out here on the side of a door. A chisel over here is used for a side of a brick,
Hmm.
but all good though. Um, so I shut that down the doors of the business. I was thinking union, to do union carpentry. I'm just doodling through Indeed,
Hmm.
and then I see these two boyos here, Ryan and Gareth from Dream Team, had posted selling technician,
Hmm.
HVAC. I goes, I wonder what that is. I was genuinely curious. I was like, I wonder what that is.
Sure.
And I called Gareth and he goes, yo, how's it going, big stuff? I goes, not too bad, Gareth. I goes, I see you're advertising for a selling tech for HVAC. I goes, what's that? He goes, can I call you back? So he calls me back an hour later, conference call, him and Ryan. Ryan, Ryan is the other partner.
Okay.
He's the other cartoon you see in the background there. And they're like, yo, lad, how's it going? I goes, not too bad. At this stage, I hadn't a clue what they were calling me back for. Like, were they calling me back to explain this job, what it is, and
Sure.
like
Still
why
no
it
clue what's happening here.
hadn't a notion, Sam. And they're like, yeah, you ain't no HVAC tech. I goes, well, I know that. I see, I seen the selling side of it. I seen the one half of it. I goes, I'm no salesman either, but I can talk. And they're like, well, you didn't make it for the selling tech position. We've created a new position for you. I goes, what's that? And he goes, you're going to be our first comfort advisor.
Right on.
So I'm like, what's that?
Sure.
Like, I goes, okay, yeah, I'm in, but what is that?
Hmm.
And they explained that. I goes, all right, boys, no problem. That's how clueless I was about the HVAC side of things.
Love it. So that was what, let's see, remind, that was what, 9 months ago?
That was the 11th of June.
June.
So
That's right.
about yeah, so about
So
a
10
week
months. So
before
right at
that.
10 months ago, almost exactly. This is April 10th on date of recording right here.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
And
So
and
tell us
that night,
about your journey starting out. What was it like when you very so part of what I was wanting to accomplish in this episode, especially for everybody listening, I really wanted to get a really fresh take on somebody that knew nothing about heating and air and
uh-huh.
we're within the first year to talk through some of the things, some of the struggles that you've had, some of the things you've overcome, some of the
Yeah,
mindset changes that you've had along the way and what's helped. That
uh-huh.
way, because I know there's a lot of people listening that are in the same place or maybe just after it, maybe not even quite to the place that you are. So I'd love to
Yeah,
really dive in on some of this stuff and see if we can really help them in this journey as well. So when you very
absolutely.
first started, what was your first week like? Week, 2 weeks? What were you thinking? What were your big like fears, anxieties? What were you excited about?
Well, if I can be honest here, the week before I started, because they were getting ready for me, the week before I started, Gareth sends me over this email and he goes, there's a link there, and he sent over the password to get into it and everything. Um, it's it's some HVAC training.
Hmm.
So I opened the link, and it's some guy called Sam Wakefield. Close it now. And so I'm like, all right. And I'm not joking you. I was sitting, now it's June, so like I'm sitting outside in the patio or the deck, and I've got the iPad on, and I'm writing down notes, and it's the two the two philosophies and all that.
Hmm.
It's went full circle in less than a year here for me, Sam. I'm writing down about the two philosophies from a Sam Wakefield. Who the hell's this guy? You know,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, who is that guy?
that's what I thought at the time. And
Yeah.
then oh, he's got a podcast and all. He seems
Well,
like a cool
well, let's
guy.
camp on that for a second. I'm curious because so for everybody listening, Brian and I have not had this conversation, so this is new to me as well. What
Uh-huh.
two philosophies are you referencing? And I'm curious because and what were they and why did they really stick out in your mind so much from the beginning there?
Well, I can show you this. And this is a index card, and
Gorgeous.
I I actually wrote the two fills because I have ADD.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to learn things like in a way that goes to the brain quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bear in mind, as I'm learning about the two fills or the two philosophies, I still have no idea what a heat pump is.
Sure.
I didn't even know what was a thing at this point. So I'm like, all right, I'll follow Gareth's lead. I'll learn whatever. Like Gareth's a successful guy, and you know, if he's laying down the pavers, I'm gonna pick them up and just follow the lead. So yeah, the benefit lens and the permission lens.
Mm,
Am I correct?
you
Or
got it.
sorry. Uh-huh. And you get the intro there with the company and the personal and your agenda script
Mm-hmm.
discovery.
I
So
dig it.
yeah, yeah. So like honestly, apart from so you could say apart from Ryan and Gareth, you're the third person that come out stepped into my HVAC world.
Sure. Okay. So you've got those the benefit lens and the and permission stack. So you've got those
Uh-huh.
philosophies down. And then what was it like getting into so how long was it before you started running appointments by yourself? Maybe that's a really good question here.
Excellent question. Um, because Ryan and Gareth pretty much made up a job for me overnight,
Mm-hmm.
and the office didn't know, like, I show up and they didn't really know what to do with me.
Sure.
On top of me not having a bloody clue what I was supposed to be doing. So it was like, huh. Like, there was a bit of figuring out,
Yeah.
and it was all good. Like, I would prefer we all learn together
Sure.
rather than look at this, look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I found I found it toughest with the techs because it was like, "Ugh, who's this guy?"
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, um, because I'm a carpenter by nature, I was out in the trucks with them. I'm in the crawl spaces with them to learn
Hmm.
about this metal square thing that pushes air.
Sure. Yeah. And of course, that's
Um,
the best way to learn is just go out and do the work with them, right?
1000%. Absolutely. Show them that you're not the guy that sits in one of these chairs and that you're happy to get into the crawl space with them. Now, the good thing about that is that I may not have known what the actual machine was,
Hmm.
but I could see a Phillips head and I had his bag. Like I could see he was like, oh, I need a Phillips head. Back to the Venice. I'm like already into his bag. I'm handing him the screwdriver.
Hmm.
You need that. I knew what type of screwdriver he needed.
Well,
I didn't,
yeah, I mean, you were mechanical, so at least there wasn't that,
right?
skill to overcome.
I didn't I didn't know what happened once he popped that door off.
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
So I mean, so I got a little bit hands on, and then there was calls come in, and there was a manager. He's not with us anymore, and like he was really good. Knew all the knew all the technical. I could have called him from anywhere in the world, and he goes, "Yeah, you need a 1.5 ton for that." Or like
Hmm.
like oh, that's definitely a 5 ton.
Right.
And I'm like, that was the first time I heard ton. Like
Hmm.
I'm like, I didn't know if he was talking about weight or like I was like, oh, is that what we need? Yeah, I thought that.
So how long was it before
Googled it
you?
real quick.
Oh, oh my gosh, that's great. What would you say to the guys? So this has always been something that has been really important to me. Is in fact, I had this conversation with a owner earlier. There's a whole group of trainers in our industry that will only hire people from outside the industry that have zero knowledge of anything that has to
Hmm.
do with HVAC for sales. And I've been a big advocate that that is the wrong way to go about it. Yes, we can have good skills, but we can't stay there. That's fine to come into our industry not knowing anything, but not stay there. Uh, but they're all about keeping them as dumb as possible, and so they can just sell things without having the so-called bad habits. But I've always been an advocate that we should know what the heck we're doing so we can help people better because we can come up with better solutions if we have better technical skills. So what would you
Thousand
say
percent.
to somebody who's, maybe they started, what's the best way for, they're doing sales now. What's the best way for them to get that good experience?
Best way, hop in the van with a technician. That is the best way. And you don't even like don't get into the van with him if you're gonna be like, oh, there's a piece of dust. I don't want that in my shoes.
Sure.
Hop into the van with him. Don't annoy him. Don't annoy him. You don't have to kill him with questions. Observe.
Hmm.
Observe. Be there with him. Just get into it. I mean, I thought honestly, I like my first call, like I was like, I grew up in a house in Ireland. We didn't get radiators in the house until it was like I was probably 11 years of age. We were burning coal and
Hmm.
turf, and that was our hot water. That was our heat
Hmm.
and blankets. Um, w- come what, 1990 or whatever, there was a tank in the backyard.
Hmm.
There was a hot press upstairs in the bathroom closet, but that's all I knew it was a hot press. I mean, there's a thing in the closet that's hot. It's
Hmm.
like a cylinder. Um, First call I was on, by myself. Like I goes, where where's your where's your furnace at? Confidently, like not walking into the house, like walking around towards the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, huh? Uh, I'm 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 an empath and I'm a wee bit Jesus, the words leaving me now. Intuitive.
Sure.
I could tell right then and there whenever like they were like I didn't hear footsteps behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
They're
I was like,
wondering what in the
oh,
world is this guy thinking?
so I turned right round and I goes, had you? But so that's what I would recommend for anybody that's looking to go into it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, judging on your relationship with that technician, you'll know if you can ask him questions or not, or
Sure.
whether you need to go into another van the next morning and find a
Mm.
friendlier one.
Right.
Like you'll figure it out yourself. Um,
So what I'm hearing from you is take some initiative. Like
take
take
initiative.
responsibility for your own education.
The installers, the technicians, they're the ones that make it happen
Mm-hmm.
every goddamn day.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't you start there?
sure. Yeah.
So like
100%.
I don't I had a brief break in between like whenever I finished the carpentry business. I was like I applied to a few jobs online and on Indeed because I've no degrees or qualifications outside carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Let me try basement waterproofing. So I had no idea what I got myself into. The owner of that company was just a terrible human being.
Oh no.
Oh, he was. Um, Story for another day. But I goes to tell you what, and I knew nothing about sales at this point. I just know how to be a decent human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to look anybody in the eye and promise them something that they're not going to get. I goes to tell you what I do because he had subs doing his work. All he was a guy running his basement waterproofing business out of his 3 bedroom house.
Oh, gotcha.
And I
He was
goes,
the
oh,
chuck in the chuck in a truck of basement waterproofing, in other words.
right, right. And honestly, all things happen for a reason, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think HVAC found me. I I think there's a reason that I was put on this path.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reason that I went to this chuck in a truck and waterproofing company. But so we had 3 different subcontractors, and I'm like, all right, let me spend a day with each one of them, and I'll be able to tell you if I can sell for you or not. Again, I didn't know nothing about basement waterproofing, and I didn't know how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Out in the trenches with the lads, and 2 of the subcontractors, oh, just terrible. The shortcuts taken and the prices this guy was charging homeowners, nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
When I went out with Juan and the crew, and there's a little suburb outside Philly here. It's called Norristown. And Juan, he's about our age, but he's like the godfather of Norristown. He's a Mexican guy. And Juan is in the hole with them and he's digging and he's showing me. And Juan can't speak much English, but I don't know what it is. He understands. You got an Irish guy and a Mexican standing at the side of a house, and we're 8 feet down into the ground in this trench, haven't a clue what each other's saying, but we do. We understand each other.
Mm-hmm. You can understand work ethic.
Understand it. We're on the same page, the same energy. I says, Joe, I'll sell for you. Only if one does my jobs. And that was my that was my first really experience in sales.
Hmm.
As I said before, in carpentry, it was word of mouth.
Sure.
My customers were typically on a waiting list.
Hmm.
So like, but I believed in one and the boys. And then that's why I left the basement waterproofing sales,
Hmm.
is because I promised customers that what I thought I was selling, and that was one and the crew,
Right.
because they were going to get it done right. But once the other two subcontractors hopped in, I didn't know about it at the start. I goes, Joe, that wasn't the deal.
Sure.
And I walked away from him. And
So,
here I am in,
so bringing us back to your journey, you're learning. You spent some time with the technicians and with the crews, and so you're under
yes.
houses. You're in attics. You're learning the HVAC trade. And
Uh-huh.
so, what was your tell us about your first few experiences in the house doing sales for HVAC.
Oh, it was nerve-wracking. I was like, I was pulling up in the little dream team car,
Hmm.
and I was like, honestly, it would be easier if I just drove away from the house right now. Because I didn't really know what I was talking about. But the thing was, I knew I knew I could get like I'm not I'm gonna walk into the house and I'm not gonna spin you lies about something. And they were well aware I hadn't a clue what the hell I was doing.
Sure.
Because I told them that, look, I was straight up with them. I was like, look, I haven't really a clue what I'm looking at here. But I can get the pictures, I can get the measurements, and I showed them the little diagram and stuff of the stuff that like in the comfort survey.
Uh-huh.
All right, all right, it's 21 by 21, and then it's like, for an AC coil, and like I was a carpenter before. Like there's some sense in there. I didn't just come out of McDonald's.
Sure.
So like and I think they resonated with the trust aspect.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, all right. And I think that's really only how I've sold like jobs last year, was because they trusted me as
Sure.
an individual, and how much trust I like. The guys they stand by their work.
Mm-hmm.
They are a they are a customer focused company,
Mm-hmm.
and like I noticed that in the first week. Like I'm like, these guys are top notch,
Mm-hmm.
taking care of the customers, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So like even though I didn't have the knowledge of the HVAC side, or I hadn't a clue if a heat pump belonged in a swimming pool, or
It says pump, right?
yeah, I still I still instilled a belief in the customer, because I believed in the two lads. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I knew them 20 years before that.
Sure. So you believed in the
Uh,
company. You really stood by the company, and
yeah,
then beyond that, just really being transparent, honest with everybody, and
yeah,
you used the right word, which is trust.
yes.
I mean, that's the. I
Um,
mean, everybody. If everybody doesn't, if you don't know, everybody listening, at the end of the day, that's what everything comes down to. If they trust you, that's all that really matters.
that is, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. Because, I mean, yesterday I was out in a call, and it was my second touch back with the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at her, and she's at the kitchen table, and now she's about 70 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it was. I was like sitting there looking at her, and I'm like, if if my mum and my granny could like form into like the same head here, that is what I'm looking at.
Hmm.
Like it was spooky. And like I would never sell like I'm not that guy. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna push that wee woman into a sale or whatever. And I have it set up with her. She's gonna talk to her sons today.
Hmm.
They're gonna come round and they're gonna go over the estimate again. And like I'm not gonna sit down and do a one call. Like that's my mother. And if I would never that this is my lane. I would never do anything to anybody that I wouldn't do my own family or my mother.
Love this so much. And this
That's
is
where
this is
I
selling with heart. This is integrity.
exactly.
Hmm.
And like it's it sucks that some people do that, but
Hmm.
it's the world we live in, you
It
know.
is. So we're 10 months into your journey now. Give us a feel for kind of what your numbers have looked like. What have you done so far?
Um, 10, 10 months. What do you say? 10 months?
Yeah, 10 months from
10,
so
10
June to
months,
April.
June to April. I am at like, I sold one today. So
Congrats.
I was at
Hmm.
436,000. So then plus I'd sold one for 13,900 today.
Nice. Congrats.
So we're getting up there.
Okay.
Um, I had set a goal for me just because I'm a pain in my own ass. I'm the worst pain in my ass ever. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get 1 million this year.
Hmm.
Um, the year's not over yet. I still haven't a clue what I'm doing, but that doesn't change the goal.
True. True. What has been the biggest thing that has because clearly you've been on just like a crash course in in this industry. And obviously there's been a lot of struggles and learning moments along the way. What has helped you to s- keep the tenacity and the consistent, persistent discipline to continue to move forward along the way and not just be like, scrap it, I'm going back to carpentry?
Honestly, Sam, I think it's because I grew up blue collar. It's that like
Hmm.
I didn't grow up with nothing.
Hmm.
I yeah, just I never give up on the fight.
Hmm.
I am the underdog, and I shout for all the underdogs out there too. You're the guy that's sitting in the truck right now thinking that, hey, I was thinking about HVAC,
Hmm.
but I don't know nothing about it. Hop on board. If I can survive 10 months in it, you can too.
Sure. I love this. What?
And as I said, I truly believe it was a calling.
Hmm.
I love it.
So, what is it that so what are some of the maybe top two or three things that you like the best about what you're able to do now?
Best thing I love is that it's an emergency situation. I love helping people, but you know what I love more than helping people is to help them right there and then.
Hmm.
So, like carpentry, if I was going out for an estimate, um, again, no sales training involved. It was just like, oh, we seen your work, and we were thinking about doing this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
In about a year and a half, and I'm like, well, what's the point in me being out here today? You're
Hmm.
going to do the work in a year and a half. Whoop-de-doo for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's
But
like
if, but
nothing's
if
even
I,
going to be the same by then.
exactly. But if I can help somebody get a furnace installed next day, whenever it's freezing outside,
Hmm.
massive difference in the satisfaction you walk away from.
Hmm. Yeah, just that fulfillment of being able to help people immediately.
1000%.
Yeah, I love that so much. What else? So, what about let's talk about the actual role for a minute. What is it about, being a project manager within the industry that a couple things that you like, and his was something you don't like too.
Um, s- let's see. So I'm not a project manager. I'm a comfort advisor.
Comfort advisor.
Um, um, what are some of the things that I like, don't like?
Yeah. So, what do you like about the role?
Um, the helping.
Hmm.
Like, I don't care what house it is, where it's at, if it's rich, middle, or poor. I walk in there and my number one aim is to help that person
Yeah.
if I possibly can.
Sure.
Um, I was out with Jack and we were slow. We had like phenomenal weather here in Philly, February, March,
Hmm.
and there just was no calls coming in for the comfort advisors. So I was riding around with Jack and Aidan, and this one call I was on with Jack, and
That's one of your
like
technicians.
one of the technicians, yeah.
Okay.
So we gets this call and it's like in a row home, and it's like just come in, use the basement door. So we all Jack's like this tall, and he's a brute. He played football. Like I thought Jack almost took off the screen door in the back. Like I'm like, we all right there, buddy? And Jack's a big hilarious guy. I'm fine. And Jack just walks on in because the door was open. And here's a guy laying in the basement. And it's like one of them like military cot beds.
Hmm.
And and he gets himself up and he puts himself into the wheelchair. And a fucking gentleman is what he was, nothing short of it. You could tell that he didn't have any money, but his heat wasn't working. And right away I thought, that guy's a Vietnam vet. I don't know what it was, what movie that my head, my ADD brain went to, and I just seen the cot. I,
Hmm.
I knew it was a military cot, and next thing he starts talking about Nam.
Hmm.
Now I love this guy. Um, he he needed a $600 fix in his unit,
Hmm.
and he said, "I only have $100 to my name till the end of the month."
Hmm.
And he says, "Look, Jack," I goes, "we're doing this job." Jack's like, "Yeah, we are." Even if it had to come out of our own pocket, and we
Hmm.
called Gareth and Ryan, let them know what was going on, and they're like, "Get that man sorted out."
Nice.
Yeah, that is that job was that's why I'm in it.
Yeah. To get to truly serve people in a way that we can't otherwise.
Serve like he has served.
Yeah. Ah, that's beautiful. I heard a story earlier. I'm going to have him on the show, but one of my coaching clients, he today got to punch that ticket. His company, they give all of their comfort advisors one golden ticket a year. When you come
Okay.
across situations that truly need help, you know,
Yes.
punch that ticket and we'll do the right thing. And
Yeah.
so I'll have him on. We'll unpack that one and talk about it. But man, I love those stories. And of course, at the same time, a lot of the owners that are, if they don't have this abundance mindset and they function from this mentality, oh, we're going to lose money. It's like, well, no, you're not. We're not giving away every single job. But what we can
Yeah,
do is just tell the story forward of how we help people and not to, wave the banner and say, oh, look at us. This is what we do. But to not to impress people, but to impress upon them that, we function from heart and this is how we care for people. And so when you
right.
become, say, with the dream team, when you join this dream team family, when you become one of our clients, what happens? This is how we take care of our own. So
Yeah,
yeah, you can go with the big company and all the things, or you can become part of this family, knowing that we're always going to be there to take care of you. I mean, everybody asks me all the time, "Oh, how do you handle objections?" I'm like, just be honest like this. Have this
right.
conversation, tell this story, and say that's how
Uh,
we take care of people.
yeah. And see, as soon as you're not honest, I don't care if you're a homeowner, you're a stranger sitting beside each other at a restaurant, you can smell it a mile away.
Yeah.
You can, because you're sincere or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You actually want to help, or you're just, you know, commission breath.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Commission breath for sure. This is such a perfect time. And for everybody listening, I had no idea where this conversation was going to go today. But I love that
Ah,
we have gone here because, it's perfect timing also because, I mean, as you know, Brian, we're in the middle or not even in the middle yet. I started this series on, the energy of the appointment. Where does the energy shift happen? How our energy introduces ourselves before we even show up and leading with honesty, integrity. We're going to do an episode on ethics and how to develop an ethics statement and all of these types of things that nobody knows
mm-hmm,
about, nobody talks about. And it's just so
exactly.
important, so important.
It is. It's a way to lead.
Hmm. Hmm. So we are, so right now we're at 10 months in. And what is the one thing that you would say anybody that's out there in their first year? What are one or two things that you would advice that you would go back and give to yourself when you first started? If you could do differently or learn faster or just what are a couple pieces of wisdom for yourself 10 months ago
Um,
and for the others?
I will make myself look. I'll be the fool here, so you don't have to, guys. Never ever do a swap out heat pump with an AC only. We get
Yes, can confirm. I've made that mistake before too.
we got a call in like late November. It's like, hey, Mrs. Such and Such called there, and she's not getting heat. And I goes, well, she shouldn't. That's an AC only. I didn't know it was a heat pump, and that was a whole big thing.
Hmm.
I owned it. These boys owned it. They're like, no problem.
Hmm.
We'll be out tomorrow morning. Took an AC unit out, replaced it, and did whatever they had to do inside.
Hmm.
That was it. We didn't upcharge them because they're getting a heat pump. That was my mistake.
Sure.
I have, and here's what I would also say: don't be afraid to learn by your mistakes.
Hmm.
Best lessons I ever learned in life, whether it be carpentry, done a bit of bartending before too. Um, Carpentry, bartending, and this business.
Hmm.
Don't, if you make a mistake, guess what? You'll never forget it. I'll never forget that I installed AC for somebody who needed a heat pump.
Hmm. Yeah, you'll never make
And
that mistake again. That's for sure.
never. And I mean, I sold it. I think I sold it in August.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm tuttering along, and I'm trying to like don't really have a clue what I'm doing. The office hasn't a clue what I'm doing. We're just all making it work. And then we get a phone call from Mrs. Such and such. And
Hmm.
somebody's like, why did you not sell our heat pump?
Hmm.
And I go, "It's
Yeah, so you're
because it
months
was,
down the road before you even anybody even realized it.
I I thought the box outside, like I was like, that's AC, only AC units do that.
Hmm.
Didn't know about reversing valves and all that stuff.
But you do
I
now.
do now.
Love it. So looking forward across this next little bit. Well, first of all, you and Gareth are going to come to the Relentless in Boston. Relentless, the ultimate sales transformation. Y'all are coming to the event,
Yeah,
so I know you're looking forward to that. What
I
are one or
cannot
two
wait.
things that that you want to get out of the event?
Out of the event, here's the thing, much like HVAC or HVAC or H crack as I call it, because crack is in Ireland. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. We spell it CRAIC,
Okay,
and crack in Ireland does not mean what it means out here. Crack means, like, if I was to say, Sam, what's the crack? And your ears and brain would hear that as what's up, man.
okay.
Um,
Oh, that's
so
that's
hey,
funny. For years, I've said, "Hey, what's cracking?" So it's probably a variation on that was carried forward.
there you go. That was the ancestors before us. um, no, I where was I going with that? I was going so much like I didn't have a clue what the HVAC ward was bringing in for me. I've listened to you though. I'm excited to see what you've got going on in Boston.
Hmm.
I love the fact that you're going into this mindset stuff because
Hmm.
it resonates with me. I'll take mindset and the subconscious level stuff over a sleazy sales course any day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know, somehow I gravitated towards you like that moth around the light bulb. Didn't know who you were whenever Gareth came out to me that day or sent me that email, and oh, I open it up. There's a link to close it now, and here's Sam Wakefield, and I'm watching him on my iPad in the deck.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, the two fills. I must write the two fills down because I'll remember that that's two philosophies. Just be calling it two fills.
Love it. So so from the event, what do you want to accomplish? How do you think that that will help you in your journey? Let's ask it that way.
Here's the thing. I'm like, I know that I heard like on the Facebook group that you said that there's going to be role plays and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's my worst fear. And I think why role play is my worst fear is because at the end of the day, no matter what my conscious mind
Hmm.
thinks that my conscious mind's thinking that, all right, we're going to pretend he's the homeowner. Subconscious mind is, no, we're not.
No, we're not. Yep.
No, no, we're not. We can't. You, it's difficult for me to like break that. You know what I mean? Because I operate from a place from the heart.
Yeah.
And like I was down at the Certain Path event there in September,
Hmm.
and it was a 2 day course for the comfort advisors.
Hmm.
Now, I have no problem talking to anybody. Like, I'm not shy. I mean, you know that I reached out to you from out of the blue, and
Hmm.
you're probably, who the F is this guy? Um, and here we are.
Hmm.
But the thing that scared me most was the role play. Um, First of all, I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So I was only in it for about 3 months
Hmm.
at that stage. I also hadn't a clue. I had plenty of questions down there, but I was like, I don't want to put up a hand here in case I look stupid.
Hmm. Well,
Just
I'm
another.
glad that you brought up the role play thing because I'd love to talk about that for a second. A lot of I don't believe in role play the same way that most people do. And I had so I recorded another episode with Doug Wyatt yesterday that's actually going to release tomorrow. So, which is incredible. It was total fire. We've got another hour and 40
Uh,
minutes together that you're going to love. So, for everybody listening,
uh,
go back and listen
he
to
was
this episode because it'll be out before this one drops. But we're on the same page. I don't believe that you should hand somebody a script and say, okay, take 2 minutes and learn this, and now we're going to practice it because
right.
that's not a real world type of scenario. And because it's a big event like that where there's a lot of people in the room, you don't
Mm-hmm.
get much value from turning to your neighbor and going back and
Right.
forth with somebody who also doesn't know how to deliver the script.
Exactly. There's no impact. There's no feeling behind the words.
Right. So the one of the things that is going to be different, and this is something I want to make sure to mention that on this podcast for everybody, if you're considering coming to the event and you're maybe apprehensive because of the role play, because I know our industry, there's not that many people are big fans of it. So we're not going to make you go up in front of in front of everybody and have this face off with with me or one
Thank
of the
God.
trainers and put you on a video and to be able to graduate and get your certificate and all of that. What we are going to do, yes, there's some scripting that I've written. More importantly, I'm going to break down the meaning behind the script and teach people how to. So we'll be working on why it's written the way it is. I'm going to demonstrate it. We're going to, me, Doug Wyatt, Scott Bell, Christian Moore, the Jonathan Neves, the people there that are going to be training. We're going to demonstrate it, and then we're going to have a question and answer session. So then you can say, "Hey, why did you answer it like this? Why did you
Yeah.
say this when you did?" So we can, because the whole goal is not the words, it's the meaning behind the words. And I
See,
love this topic so much because I think our industry forever has only stayed surface level and they've missed the whole point of role play.
yeah, they forgot the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's what's behind it, right? If we
Yeah.
Just like when objections come, that's the reason I always say it's like you don't need just one canned response to these words because
Right.
whatever they're saying is never the real meaning behind, why they have a so-called objection. It's the ability to see through that and ask more questions in a way that uncovers the truth so you can have a heart-to-heart conversation. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
difference in how to handle objections. And then, without conflict in a way that shows that you truly care. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So one,
Well,
don't be anxious. That's not how we do it. We're gonna show people how to role play. And once we give you the tools, then what will happen is we'll say, okay, now as you go back to your company, here's the plan and here's how you're going to practice this in your environment so you'll get the best value from it.
right. And I mean, it's like, again, it's like, and you talk about it a lot. It's like the transference of the energy.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm if I'm in a room where I was like you can feel the energy, and if you're not vibing,
Hmm.
like you can feel it, and then you put two boys together and they're trying to be like, oh, I'm going to get him, and he's thinking the same thing.
Hmm.
It,
Hmm.
like the energy's off there, and that's what like maybe it works well with other people. I don't know,
Hmm.
but I just can't deal with that. I'm like, nah, because now and it's back here. It's the subconscious,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, no,
it's
you're so right. It's the sales is that transference of energy. There was a guy in my years ago. I did solar for several years. I put up a hundred. 100 solar projects across the country in a couple of years there. So anybody that knows solar, there's some
All
numbers for
right.
people. But there was a guy in my company, and he said this one time, and real early on in the podcast, I recorded an episode about this. He said, "If they ain't vibing, they ain't buying. They gotta be
Uh-huh.
vibing with you. You know, you've got to get
Yeah.
on the same vibrational state with them."
And that's
And
not
we're
just
going to
a
talk about
statement.
that a lot. You know, it's like, what does that really mean? You know,
Exactly.
it's like
Break
you have
that
to
statement
resonate.
down
Hmm.
because you feel it. You feel the vibration of people. And it's just like me and you. If some guy was coming in here and they're like, oh, well, you need to get this siding done today. And you're
Hmm.
like, well, you're an energy person. You're like, nah, F you, dude.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, and that's the reason I say so often, one, that your energy introduces yourself before you ever knock on the door. But also, you know, when we work so just like you're making sales out there knowing nothing about heating and air. People don't expect us to know all of the answers. They just expect us to be able to get them in a reasonable amount of time. So if they know
Right.
you have resources to be able to answer the questions, that
Mm-hmm.
you're open and honest and truthful and say, listen, I'm really am truly here to serve you best. If I don't have the answer, I'll tell you, but I can get it.
Yes,
But people want to do business with people that are worth doing business with. And that's
exactly.
really the whole point. That's why, I mean, that's why I end every episode with, you know, what is it I say? Oh, put
But
him on the
what?
spot. With be someone worth buying from, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Like that's what it all boils down to. Like I'll trust you. Like I'll trust you. Like, hey Sam, you know what? I know you haven't a clue about XYZ.
Hmm.
If you're looking me dead in the eye and saying that, but I know a guy that does,
Yeah.
and I'll get back to you on this.
Hmm.
I'm going to believe because me and you talked.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe that you're going to do my job to the best of your possible ability,
Hmm. Yep, you got it.
and and
And
that's
it goes
that.
back to the way you said what you said when we started. It's that word, that one word, trust.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Well, man, it has been good hanging out today. We better land this plane. So what we're
All
doing
right.
here too, everybody. So Brian and Gareth from Dream Team, they're coming to the event. We're going to pull them aside and have talk to them for a few minutes. I'm going to have my videographer there, so we're going to get a cool little interview of what your experience is like at the event, and then we're going to give you 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month or so after the event, and we're going to do this again and get your mindset and your experience, what it's been like in the field after the event, and talk about your results and talk about your experiences there as well. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited about part two, which will happen here in another, I guess it'd be a couple months from now.
Yeah. Ship it. Well, there might be something that we'll be shipping up to Boston in between times. I'm sure the listeners will have something to hear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So,
Dropkick
heck,
Murphys
I'll
is
let you
coming.
just train in the next episode. You can train some of the things that you learned from the event too.
I can't wait to attend it, Sam. And I love Boston. I love Boston. It's such a great city.
Oh, I love it. So for everybody, my theme song for this next month is "Shipping Up to Boston" by the Dropkick Murphys, which is I'm a big fan of theirs. Anyway,
Whoa.
but so if you never heard it, go look up that song. Well, Brian, it's been great to have you on. I
Sam,
appreciate
a
what you're
pleasure.
doing, and thanks for being so vulnerable with us today. That is just as important.
That's
The power of vulnerability. There's a plug for a book. If anybody, a great book. It will probably go in the Close It Now book club, which I'm about to start back up. The Power of Vulnerability by Brene Brown. If you've never read it, highly recommend. So everybody out there, go pick up that book and give it a shot because it is so incredible. Because it's the power of being transparent, the power of being when we're vulnerable, they'll be vulnerable with us, and
yeah.
there's nothing more. If our world and our society had more of that, we wouldn't be fighting some of the incredibly ridiculous things that are happening in the climate of our of our government right now, and our society. If people just opened up and were themselves without this mask in front of it. So I'm
Yeah.
working on some things on the side that when they come out, it's going to be pretty fun stuff. So, but man, thanks for being here. Any parting words before we sign off?
Um, if you're the guy that was me 10 months ago, sitting behind that steering wheel, and you're like, you know what? I really want to go be a comfort advisor and having a clue. Start with heat pumps. Don't start with the AC unit. Just do it. Just bloody do it. I mean, make them mistakes, get into it. It's a great business. And who knows? You might find people like Sam. And
Love it.
I'll see yous all up in Boston.
Word. So to get your ticket for Boston, go to closeitnowbootcamp.com. They are the tickets. The BOGO price is happening. So basically tickets are half price now. So go to closeitnowbootcamp.com. I wanted to make it as accessible as to as many people as can get there. But because I did that, the tickets are going fast. So you better grab your spot before they sell out,
Oh
because
yeah.
we got 60 people in the space and that's it. You the Looking at the trainers, literally each one of us, if you had us out to your location, is tens of thousands of dollars to get us to your location. Every single one of the trainers that are going to be on stage. So when you get all of us in such a tight space like that, and the ability to ask the questions and Q&A and to get that level of information, it's an insane value. We're literally talking about like massive, massive, massive value. So this doesn't happen very often in our industry, to get actual top level people in the same space, to get in front of them to learn from. So I just can't stress it enough. If you don't come to this, you're gonna watch your peers double their incomes this year, and you'll be wondering why you didn't go and why you didn't pay the ticket. So that is, I implore you, is a good word for this.
Come
You
on
do
up
not
to
want to miss
Boston,
out.
folks.
Yep. Come hang out with
Uh,
Brian and me. We'll lift a cup of tea, or
yes, we will.
maybe a Guinness. So,
Oh yeah.
all right, everybody, you know what we do. Thanks for listening. Go get your ticket, closeitnowbootcamp.com. And until next time, go be someone worth buying from.